And start. Okay, so the year is currently 20XX. Boston Dynamics robots have taken over the world, and the human body is now conformed of 80% kale. And the next episode of Let's Talk has finally been released.
Wow. I'm old.
And everyone somehow still retains the same age and body. So...
Oh, okay. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, all right. I'm okay with my alien or robot overlords as long as I don't age. So on the last episode, we started talking about preparing a new series, and we kind of went across like the different types of Let's Plays. So today we're going to talk about actually hitting that record button and the equipment and software and everything else that kind of goes into that.
Yay!
Hooray! The expensive part.
Cries.
So originally, LPs were done in what is kind of nowadays called post-commentary style. Video was recorded, and then audio commentary is added later. And around maybe 2007, 2008, that kind of evolved into the live commentary style where everything's kind of recorded at once. Now, are all of your LP commentaries done live or in post, or is it a mixture of both?
99% live. Once in a while, I'll screw something up, and then I'll just do like a teeny tiny little snippet in post. But that's mostly to like fix my stuttering and do little informational hot fixes before it goes up.
Right. So in terms of, quote, the future me, and we've seen this a couple of times on your own channel, so do you use text overlays to edit in more information, and then how would you do that?
Yeah, I definitely use a lot of text overlays for more information. Most of the time, it's just to let people know that, yes, I see this thing that I screwed up. Please don't yell at me. It gets fixed later. But I usually try to present it in a way that is just a joke and kind of jab at myself a little bit. And it usually goes over pretty well, and people think that it's funny. I'll like throw on a big old bong sound effect on it when it's something really stupid, and it became its own joke in and of itself.
Right.
Sometimes if it's something that I just didn't notice and didn't acknowledge, I'll put in little animated text bubbles where it's like it'll actually pan around following whatever it is that it's pointing out, and those are a lot of fun.
Keyframes.
Yeah, that's not fun.
So would you say that your commentary is sort of scripted by the notes that you take? I know we kind of talked about how your notes are kind of like just enough to get the information out there.
Yeah, there's definitely very, very little script things going on in my videos. Once in a while, if there's something particularly detailed that I wanna make sure that I get right, in that case, yes, it'll be a little bit more scripted. Mostly those are in cutaway extra information that I want to throw in there, but other than that, no, it's just one word blurbs of like, go through this door. Okay. Even though that's more than one word, but still.
I mean, door.
Door.
Now, what equipment do you use to record your commentary audio?
I use and I'm peeking over my thing. Okay, I use
What's it called?
I use an AT 2020 USB microphone. I always forget what the number is, so I keep forgetting. But it's just a USB mic. It's really nice, really good. Has a little arm attached to it to keep it out of the way.
So are there any other maybe accessories or attachments that go with your setup? Like little boom arms, or do you just have like a microphone stand?
Yeah, I have like a little boom arm and a pop filter, and that's pretty much it in the way of audio. It's not anything terribly complicated. I usually keep my headset on when I'm recording things off of my PC just so that I can hear the game in my ear, but not have it bounce off of the microphone.
Okay. Do you do something similar when playing console games?
I want to start doing that because there's been so many times where I want to comment on something or there's some sort of audio cue that I just can't hear. But
Right.
so far I just turn the volume way down and cross my fingers that I don't miss audio cues. One of these
Right.
days I'll get my audio set up to where I can just wear a headset, but I haven't gotten
And
there yet.
what software in particular do you use to record your commentary?
I use Adobe Audition. I used to use Audacity, and from what I understand, it's still viable, right? People still use that.
Yeah, and especially if somebody's starting out and they don't really have the, I guess, wherewithal or the finances to
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
go into it. Yeah, it's still used pretty heavily.
Absolutely. Okay. I wasn't sure if like Windows 10 screwed it up because it screwed up a lot of other programs. But
Yeah.
yeah, the only reason why I use Audition is because I'm already paying for Creative Cloud because of Premiere. So why not use it? It's nice. It's a nice program, but Audition is more than enough for anyone wanting to just kind of dip their toe in.
Are there any tips for recording with the best possible sound quality? You know, it's kind of like a very open-ended question, but do you have any sort of like tips or tricks to make sure that everything sounds okay?
Experiment. One tip that I can give is that it's better to have your commentary be too soft than to have it be too loud, because you can always boost the audio. There might be a little bit of humming if you have to like increase it by a lot, but it's better to have it that way than having it peak every other second and you just have this terrible clipping and noise.
Yeah,
So,
especially during laughter.
yeah, you'd be surprised at how high those peaks can get when you start laughing and screaming and crying. But anyway, yeah, it's better to be softer and have your volume controls set a little bit lower than not. Other than that, for quality's sake, sometimes I'll throw a noise gate over the commentary track. It's just like anything below this certain amount of noise just completely gets cut out. That's a feature I think that you can do right in Audition. I usually just do it in Premiere because I'm lazy and I have the presets. But but that's something to look into. It's a little hard to get right the first time and it takes a lot of experimentation, but some little things that you can fiddle with.
Okay. Now, do you have any tips for syncing audio? So obviously, when you record a live commentary, you're going to have to find a way to make sure that in post your commentary actually syncs up with what's going on in the game. Do you have any tips for trying to get that accomplished?
This is a little bit embarrassing, but like whenever I'm just starting a recording, I'll actually go to maybe a menu or something like that, and whatever is quiet, whatever doesn't have much background noise, I'll just boot up the pause menu or the inventory menu or whatever I have and just go between the options so it has some sort of audio cue, and I'll just go beep beep.
Okay. Okay.
Along with the changing option, and usually I can see the increase in the actual audio peaks, so that makes it visually super easy to line it up and be like, oh, this goes here. And
Okay.
Between the episodes, I'll actually do different beeps, like different rhythm of beats. So sometimes I'll go like beep 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 beep, and other times I'll go like beep beep beep, just so that if I accidentally import the wrong audio file or the wrong commentary file, then I'll immediately know and I won't waste time going forward and thinking like, this isn't lining up too well. Why am I talking about this now? Well, I don't understand what's going on. And then it just solves that and takes the possibility completely away.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, in terms of recording your gameplay, what kind of equipment do you use?
For gameplay, it varies. Again, for consoles, I typically use an Elgato. Elgato HD60. I recently actually got an HD60S, which I have not gotten to fiddle with yet. It's very similar to the HD60 anyway, though, so it's whatever. It'll be the same thing.
Whatever.
Whenever I get to that. But I use that, all the cables that go along with it for more PC-oriented games, like I did Tales of Symphonia on Steam. I used Bandicam for that to just record it and make sure that everything was stable and it held up for the entire series, so that was fine.
Now, what equipment? I guess you just briefly mentioned that you bought new recording equipment for console games. Now, was there any equipment that you used in the past?
Basically everything. Started with Dazzle, and then I eventually upgraded to the Hauppauge 1. Hauppauge? I've never known how to actually pronounce that brand.
I think it is that soft G, the Hauppauge.
Hauppauge? Yeah, that would make sense. Then I went to the Hauppauge 1, and I stuck with that for a really long time. And then I went to the Hauppauge 2, and I stuck with that for a really long time. And I eventually went to Elgato. I can't remember why. I had some issue with the Hauppauge after a while. It started glitching on me or whatever, and I was starting to not trust it. So I was like, I'll try Elgato. And Elgato has been really great ever since.
Right. Yeah, I think I used like an $80 thing called GameBridge way back when, and then I actually did get an Hauppauge 1 because it was recommended. Like, I was making Rock Band videos at the time, and it was recommended to me by another, like, I guess, content creator. But I found out that it doesn't record anything below GameCube era, so
yeah, that's kind of terrible.
The original Elgato HD actually was able to do that pretty well, I might add. But now we've bought expensive HD like up-resers, and we can use better equipment. But I've actually stuck with my Elgato the entire time. And it's been pretty loyal.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah. It's some good tech. They
Yeah.
have good, solid products that last a long time.
And you can fit it in your pocket, which you couldn't do with the Hauppauge.
True. I mean, maybe you could if you believed hard enough, but...
And wore cargo pants, but...
Yes.
The thing was a brick. Now, do you use the internal software? Like, do you use the software that comes with the Elgato, or do you use any other type of recording software?
No, I just use the internal software. It's been solid enough, and I don't need anything terribly fancy.
Okay. So you have a 3DS capture unit. If you can find it and have the money for it, you can buy a modified 3DS to make Let's Plays with. Can you maybe shed a little bit of light as to where you got yours?
I'm actually borrowing mine.
Can you shed a little light into where that person got theirs?
It's Emil's. Whatever. He got it from Loopy 3DS Capture, like the original ones, but the one that I'm using right now is actually the new 3DS XL capture unit, and Loopy doesn't or has never done that, unfortunately. So
yeah.
It's from Katsukitty. I'm treating it like gold because I've heard that Katsukitty has some questionable durability with the hardware, and I'm crossing my fingers that it doesn't blow up. But so far so good.
So they don't necessarily blow up. They'll just stop working, and you have a $600 normal
something's
3DS.
gonna blow up if it stops working in the middle of my project. Trust me, there will be some sort of explosion. It might not come from the system, but
they can't take responsibility for that.
Yes, they can.
It does get really hot. So are there any changes in your recording procedure when recording a DS/3DS game?
In the recording aspect, for Concert Kitty specifically, it has a display thing. It pops up on your computer screen and it's like, hello, this is what you're seeing on your system. I just take Bandicam and I record that screen and it turns out fine.
Okay. And that answers my next question. But are there any tips that you have, maybe any settings that you go through in both Bandicam and the display programs to ensure like the best audio video quality when recording that footage?
I mean,
it's a big question.
There's a lot of little settings and it's really intimidating, but honestly, I didn't fiddle with too much. I went into Bandicam and made sure that it was recording in MP4, because if it's recording in AVI uncompressed, you're going to lose all of your disk space in one video, and it's terrible, and I've done that before, and I have regrets. But
Okay.
other than that, there's not really much that I can say in the way of settings. It should be good to go pretty much out of the box. The only thing that I can really say to look out for is that if you're experiencing audio issues like crackling or whatever, I personally try to keep the volume rocker on the 3DS to about 75%, because I find if you have it cranked all the way up, then it has this weird clipping and static sound, which
Yep.
I'm not sure if it's consistent between all of the equipment, but for mine it does that, so I tend to try to keep it toned down a little bit.
Yeah, that happens with mine as well. And I do believe that they, on their website, although I'm sure you can go on like Newegg or Best Buy, they do sell particular audio cables that you can use instead of just, because normally what you would do is I believe you would just connect an auxiliary cable into the headphone port of your 3DS.
Oh, yeah.
And then connect that to your computer. And usually that's what is causing, like, especially if you use it that way, it creates a large amount of hiss.
Right.
So what I've been told is that if you buy that audio cable, either from them or somewhere else, that should mitigate it quite a bit. But yeah, in case it's still happening, I guess having the volume lower would ease that pain a little bit.
Yeah, I do use a noise reducer on mine as well. It's pretty much just a little, yeah, like you said, a little dongle into the auxiliary port. But you'll still have a little bit of hum, especially if the game is very quiet. And that's when I tend to go in with my own like dehummer and noise gate in Premiere and try to kind of take it down a couple of notches even further than that. And if I just kind of put a really light filter on it, then it turns out pretty okay.
Okay. Now, I've heard some LPers talk about creating paths for LP episodes before actually recording the series. Can you explain what a path is?
I guess that would be the same thing as my notes. You just have a specific point A and a point B of where the episode is going to go and the things that you're going to hit.
Do you tend to do practice runs of what you would expect to go through during an episode right before you record it? I know that's a little bit more difficult with single save file games, but
yeah, that would be terrible for single save files. But no, actually, more often than not, I'll just kind of go in and take what comes at me, and I'll be like, yeah, I got this. But once in a while, if I'm not particularly familiar with the area, like if it's something that I have no idea how this works, I can't remember because my mind is like an oil slick and I can't remember anything, then I'll go in and I'll be like, okay, yes, now I remember this. Now I feel a little bit more confident. It just boils down to how confident I feel for the upcoming episodes. More often than not, I'm okay, but sometimes I'll need a little bit of a refresher.
okay. Now, how many episodes, when you're recording during a session, how many episodes do you find yourself recording at one time?
If I'm not panicking because I have no video for the next day and I just record one to get something out there. In a typical evening, I'll record anywhere between like 3 to 5. It depends on when my voice starts crapping out. Sometimes if I have a lot of screaming, then it'll be 3. But otherwise, if it's more of a mellow, like, yeah, I'm going over here, let's do this thing, then I can stretch it to 5. Sometimes though, and these are the nights that I cry, is when I'm going on long trips and travel, because I take trips with my family once in a while, and I'm gone for long periods at a time. I've actually had evenings where I've recorded 8 to 10 episodes in a sitting. I don't recommend it. It's terrible and you shouldn't do that. But it's one of those things where I'll be sitting there like 5 days before I have to leave and I'm like, wait, I have nothing. I don't have anything prepared. And so I'll just sit down and blow through everything as quick as I can.
Yeah, extremely healthy maneuvers.
Don't do what I do.
But there are have you ever done a Let's Play of a game where you couldn't save your progress?
Yes. What was it? I can't remember. I did have to deal with that once at some point, and it's completely failing me. I think, yes, actually. Most of them were platformers. I think Tropical Freeze is like that, if I remember correctly, as well as Mass Attack. But it only saves after you make some sort of significant progress, though, so it didn't affect me too much. I think during Mass Attack there was one point where it saved and I had to redo a stage, but it marked itself as already done, and I was like, well, crap.
So you just kind of had to go with it?
I had to be like, yeah, I totally haven't played this yet. Let's go. These coins aren't already collected. What are you talking about?
Derp.
Pretty much.
So I guess that kind of answers the question of how you would handle that.
Yeah, pretend it doesn't happen.
Yeah, denial. Now the final question in this section is, have you ever had any problems with HD copy protection? HDCP is just a common issue with using HDMI on a system to record video.
Right. Technically, I was looking into it for a little bit because I wanted to do something on the PS3 that was technically like, if I tried it, then it wouldn't let me do it, and I was like, well, dang. So I was fiddling around with it for a bit, and actually, this is one of the big things about Tales Symphonia that made me pick the Steam version, because I was going back and forth between the Steam version and the PS3 version, and I was having issues with the HDCP, and I was like, screw this, I'm going to Steam.
It really makes the decision a lot easier.
Yeah, it does. It helped out in that sense that I didn't have to deliberate too much, but it hasn't been something that I've had to tackle head on yet, thankfully.
Okay. Yeah, usually the solutions are kind of in a moral gray area.
True enough.
So I think that'll do it for tonight's episode, and never really said, but thank you all for listening and watching.
Yay!
We all appreciate it. We'll see you on the next episode where we talk about guest commentaries and, again, the most fun part of editing and how to do all of that.
Great.
So we hope to see you there.
Bye.
Okay.
Okay, don't touch the stop button. Put the mouse over there.